Hey guys, I hauled this Suqqu 15th anniversary eye and cheek palette in my last haul video. I purchased this off of Harrods.com when they were having a sale. I purchased a few things on sale. This was not on sale, but I decided to throw it into my cart anyway. And when I saw this online and when I received it in person, I just thought, oh my gosh, this just looks like the perfect palette for like Chinese theater makeup, where they just always have a very heavy, like red, pink kind of eye look. And then it usually moves like all over their cheek and like onto their cheekbone. And then they have a very like matte white kind of base. So I mentioned that kind of Chinese theater look. I even threw up like a little picture of it that I found on Google. And many of you said that you'd be interested in me doing a look like that with this palette. So I thought about it and I thought, well, gosh, like how far do I need to take it? Do I need to do like the matte white foundation? Do I need to do the hair? You know, all this stuff, because I thought it would be really, really fun to do it. I've always loved that kind of Chinese theater makeup. It's so dramatic, like most theatrical makeup. So, so this has been percolating in my head. And then I was on Instagram and Danessa Myricks, who's one of my all-time favorite makeup artists. She is so amazing. All of her photos that she posts of her makeup looks are so glowy and glistening and just like, oh, like she is like the queen of highlight. Like she uses it everywhere, but never, to me, it never looks like overdone. It just looks amazing. So she recently posted this picture, which I'll pop up here for you guys. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, this I feel like draws a lot of inspiration from this like Chinese theater makeup I was talking about. So I thought, why don't I use that Chinese theater makeup as inspiration, but kind of work off of this to make it a little bit more modern, so I wouldn't have to go the whole way and like put down all of the crazy makeup. Let me just focus on this whole area and kind of modernize it and make it a kind of quote unquote everyday kind of look. And as probably most of us know, Lunar New Year is around the corner. It is February 5th this year. So February 4th, which is actually my parents' wedding anniversary also, that's like New Year's Eve. So I'm going to be going out with some family. With all of these thoughts kind of swirling around in my head, I thought, let me try and create a Lunar New Year look, drawing inspiration from Chinese theater, using this Danessa Myricks picture as sort of a guide, and using this Suqqu palette. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. I'm basically going to be reviewing this palette and showing you this look. Now, I don't have the demo in real time because when I do looks that are not, in my comfort zone, these looks that are very kind of out of my comfort zone, I can't talk while I do it, mainly because I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm just kind of playing around and I'm just kind of testing things out. So I'm basically just going to talk over what I did, but I do have footage of me applying it, so you'll see exactly what I did. But first, let's go ahead and talk about this palette a little bit. So this is from Suqqu, which is a Japanese brand. They're not sold here in the US. They are sold, I know, in the UK, because you can purchase them off of a lot of the London retailers or UK-based retailers. Obviously, they're sold in Japan. I don't know where else they're sold. Maybe in other parts of Asia, but I'm not sure. So whenever I go onto Selfridges or Harrods.com, I always see Suqqu. I'm always tempted to order something from there, but I never really know where to start. And a lot of you gave me some really great suggestions. Apparently, their eyebrow products are amazing. I had no idea, but I had heard that their eyeshadow palettes are really nice and their foundations are really nice, and also their brushes, of course. So I purchased one of their brush sets from Harrods, which I do want to review, but at a different time. I didn't want to make this video any more convoluted than it already is. So this palette is to celebrate their 15th anniversary, and again, it's an eye and a cheek palette. So it has this shiny gold exterior, which is already marked up with my fingerprints, and then it also came with this little crystal on the side. And when I hauled this, I completely missed it because it actually pops in and out, and it was in a different pouch in the box, and I just missed it. It was like, along the side of the box. So anyway, this is something that it comes with, and you can either not put it on or put it on. It has a hole on the side. You can just slide it right in and then press it in, and then you've got this fun crystal on the side. So inside we have some of their brushes here. This is like an eye brush, and then here's a cheek brush, and then here we have 3 eye products and a blush. This eye product is a cream product. I find it a little bit odd. It is so not pigmented at all. Oh, sorry, those are lip liners. It's so not pigmented at all. It's a little bit weird, but it has a really nice texture. So I'm not exactly sure what this is meant to be. I'm guessing just sort of a makeup base. Maybe this is meant to be like a tinted eyeshadow primer, because that is so sheer, it really just doesn't do much. So when I did this look, I kind of didn't bother with that cream shadow, but I did use the other two eyeshadows and the blush. So these two eyeshadows are amazing. They're incredibly pigmented, as you can see. They both have shimmer, and then this blush is a really beautiful complement to these two eyeshadows. And this also, I wouldn't say it has as much shimmer and glitter as these eyeshadows, but it's definitely not matte. I wanna say this has like a satin finish. So I think the powder products, pigmented, blended really nicely. I think they went on really, really nicely. I think I'd always heard that Suqqu eyeshadows were always this kind of like gentle wash of colors, more of like a watercolor effect, rather than like really, really densely, highly pigmented shadows. So I was expecting that, but these are, to me, very, very pigmented. They were not shy at all when I put them on, especially this like hot pink in the middle. I mean, really, really bright. A lot of impact. This color probably doesn't have quite as much impact as this, probably because of the tone of the shadow. It's just not quite as bright, but I have that closer to my lash line here, and it's lovely. It's like a really beautiful cranberry shade. And again, I don't think it's a light wash of color. I think it's fairly pigmented. So that was my experience with these two. And then this blush is lovely. I have a mixture of the blush and the eyeshadows on my cheeks, and I used this blush to kind of deepen up any areas of this blush, like closer to my hairline, and it performed really, really well. So I'm very happy with the three powder products in here. So why don't we go ahead and dive into the footage where I am applying this makeup. So first I took a really large eyeshadow brush. This is probably the largest eyeshadow brush I have. This is a Chikuhodo T6 brush, and you can see that it is really gigantic. I think people would probably most likely use this as a highlight, but I really like this if I just want to lay down a nice wash of color all over my lid. I don't really care how accurate I am. If I really just kind of want to get it all over and don't really care, I go for a brush like this. So I started out with this brush. I went into the hot pink shade and I just dusted that all over my lid. And by using the Danessa Myricks picture as kind of a guide, so like at the inner portion of my eye, I went up close to my eyebrow, but not quite. And then towards the outer corner of my eye, I went all the way up to my eyebrow. So I just kept dusting that pink shadow down until I felt like I had enough pigment down for it to look like eyeshadow. I think if you put down pink eyeshadow, especially this color, and you don't put enough of it down, I think you can just very easily look like you're sick or that you kind of have like a rash going on. So I wanted to put down the shadow in like a wash kind of way, but I also wanted to make it look like I meant it. So I kept going until I had enough of the pigment down. And then what I wanted to do was give a little bit of dimension, even though this is a very monochromatic look. I didn't want it to look that flat. So I used that cranberry eyeshadow shade, and I used Sonia G Worker 3 brush, and I just dusted that along my lash line, brought it up a little bit, and then blended it into that hotter, lighter pink color. And then I started in on my cheek area, and I'm not sure if I'm terribly happy with the final results, but I want to say I think I did a better job than I thought I was going to. So again, using the Danessa Myricks picture as kind of like a guide, I took my first eyeshadow brush, the big one, and I took some of the light pink eyeshadow, and I kind of started to map out where I wanted the blush, because obviously this is not the traditional area where you would put blush. So I noticed it went above the eyebrow, like across the temple, and then it went kind of down at a diagonal from like the outer corner of my eye towards like the outer corner of my mouth, let's say. So sort of at that angle. And I noticed it didn't really come that far down. And I kind of just brought my brush up and I brought it back to like my hairline, and I kind of used that as a guide. I just wanted to build out from there, but not get too carried away. So I kind of filled in with the light pink bright eyeshadow and this eyeshadow brush. So then I just moved over to the blush, and I wanted to use that again to just kind of build a little bit of dimension. I didn't want this whole blush area to look too flat. So I took the blush, which is a darker shade than that light pink eyeshadow, and I kind of used my blush brush and kind of stamped it along my hairline. I wanted to make sure that I was getting it as close to my hairline as possible, a little bit into my hairline, and then just kind of gave that area some shadows with my blush brush. I kind of brought it down a little bit below my cheekbone, kept it towards the outside a little bit, brought it towards my eyebrow a little bit more, just kind of like cupped that whole area with the darker blush. And then I wasn't very happy with how everything was blending. It's such a large area, it's really difficult to get it even and kind of blended the way you want. So I went ahead and decided to use my Meteorites and my Sonia G Phase 1 brush and just sort of buff that whole area to see if I could blend out the edges, blend out the blush and the eyeshadow that I was using on my cheeks. And I think I got it to at least a point where I like the blending. I thought it started to look a little bit softer, a little bit better blended. I thought the edges of that whole area started to look a little bit better. So I was happy I went ahead and did that. And then I thought I needed a little bit of highlight. Not too much. Danessa Myricks picture it's very editorial, and I didn't want to go like that overboard and start putting down like really glossy kind of highlight. So I decided to kind of stick with the pink theme, and I used my Pat McGrath highlighter in, I think it's Astral Pink, but it's the first one in the trio. I just dusted that a little bit over like the apples of my cheeks, a little bit on my forehead, a little bit down my nose, just a touch, but it's very pink. So you will see a pink tinge to all of my highlighted areas. And then I just kind of finished off my eye look. I decided to add shadow to my lower lash line. I added the bright pink all over my lower lash line, and then I added the darker cranberry shade just to the outer corners of my lower lash line, again, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. And then I added a little bit of liquid eyeliner to my top lash line. I don't do a wing or anything. I just wanted to kind of define the lash line a little bit. And then I threw on some of my Edward Best mascara, and I actually have that over the Can Make Quick Lash Curler. And then I finished off my look with the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk. I wanted to keep the pink theme. I wanted to keep something cool. I didn't think like a peach lip would look really good with this. So I decided to go with Pillow Talk, and then I used my Surratt Lip Sleek in Chou Couture, which is a really pretty, definite like pink leaning nude color. And I love this vinyl satin finish that the Lip Sleek gives. I thought it looked really nice with the Pat McGrath highlighter. So that is pretty much all I did with the look. I want to say the eye look was really easy. Like if you didn't want to bother with the cheek part, or if you just wanted to add blush in a more traditional way, this was so easy. I just put the light pink down like you saw, and then the cranberry towards my lash line. And that's it pretty much. This was definitely a little bit more challenging, again, because it's such a large surface area. You're not exactly sure where you want to put it, and then to get it even looking and blended, but add a little dimension. It was definitely a little bit challenging for me, the non-makeup artist here, but I definitely had a lot of fun doing this. I think this would make a great Lunar New Year celebration makeup look, because obviously I feel like the inspiration is drawn from, you know, Asian theater, but it's not too literal of a translation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. I would love to hear from you, and subscribe before you leave. I'll see you in my next video.